After driving 9 hours to surprise my wife at her work retreat, I found her in the hotel pool wrapped around her mentor. She didn't even look ashamed. "I deserve to feel alive," she said. I drove home alone, silent. 2 weeks later, I sent an invitation that changed everything. I'm a 44-year-old HVAC contractor from Dayton, Ohio. Been married to Rachel for 11 years. She's 41, works in healthcare administration, and if you met her, you'd probably think she's sweet, polite, and caring. Everyone always said I was lucky. Maybe I was, for a while. But looking back, I think I just didn't want to see the truth. 3 months ago, she told me she had a 4-day work retreat in Asheville, North Carolina. Her company does these a couple times a year. Usually some hotel, some meetings, group dinners, team building stuff. It never bothered me before. This time was different. She left early Thursday morning. Gave me a quick kiss, said she'd text when she got there. She used to call me when she checked in. Send a photo of her hotel room or some little thing from the gift shop. This time, nothing. Just a short text that said, "Made it. Tired. Meetings all afternoon." I told her to call me later. She never did. Friday? Same deal. Short texts. No emojis. No. Miss you. Just cold and businesslike. I try not to overthink it. Told myself maybe the meetings were just more intense than usual. Maybe she was tired. Saturday morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't tell her. I just got in my truck and started driving. 9 hours, Dayton to Asheville. Stopped once for gas and a coffee, drove straight through. I told myself I was doing something romantic. That she'd smile when she saw me and everything would feel normal again. I got there around 5 in the evening. Resort was a nice place, mountains in the background, big windows, couples walking around in robes and slippers. I walked to the front desk and asked if I could be connected to my wife's room. They looked her up. Room 214. I thanked them and went upstairs. I knocked. No answer. Waited. Knocked again. Still nothing. That's when I heard laughter. Loud, echoing, coming from the indoor pool down the hall. Something about the way it echoed, it felt wrong. I couldn't explain it, but my stomach turned. I walked over. Glass doors, foggy with heat from the pool. I looked through the glass and froze. Rachel was in the pool. Her arms around some man's shoulders. His hands were low on her back. They were pressed together. Real close. Her head tilted back when she laughed. It wasn't a coworker laugh. It wasn't a mentor moment. It was personal. Intimate. Comfortable. I opened the door and stepped in. Chlorine and warm air hit me in the face. The sound of water splashing, low music from a speaker on the wall. A few other people were lounging nearby, but they weren't the ones who turned and stared. It was Rachel. Her eyes locked on mine. She didn't gasp. She didn't flinch. She just blinked and said, like I was some lost kid at the wrong hotel, "Greg? What are you doing here?" I didn't answer. I was staring at the man behind her. Mid-40s maybe. Smug look. Hair slicked back. Still standing in the water like this was his territory. I looked at her. "Who is this?" She didn't look nervous. Just annoyed. "This is Michael. He's my mentor." "Your mentor?" I said loud enough for the people around us to hear. "You straddle your mentor in hotel pools now?" She pulled herself out of the water slowly, like she wasn't in any hurry. Grabbed a towel. Her skin was dripping. She wrapped herself up and looked at me like I was the one being dramatic. "Greg," she said, "can we not do this right now?" "Oh, now's not a good time?" I said. "Sorry, I thought surprising my wife would be fun." "You know, show her I care." Michael tried to say something. I ignored him. Rachel just stared. Then she said something I'll never forget. "I deserve to feel alive." She said it calmly. No shame. No guilt. Like it made sense. Like that excuse would erase everything. I turned and walked out. I didn't yell. Didn't make a scene. I just walked through the lobby, got in my truck and started driving. 9 hours back. I don't remember much of it. I don't think I said a word the whole time. Not even to myself. Just me, the dark road, and the sound of my heart pounding in my ears. When I got home, the house was quiet. Her side of the bed was empty. I couldn't even go into the bedroom. Slept on the couch that night. She got home Sunday evening. Acted like nothing happened. Told me the retreat went pretty well, and that she was tired. I said nothing. She went upstairs, unpacked, took a shower, and came down to make tea. I sat there watching the news. She asked how my weekend was. I said, fine. She smiled and said, good. That was it. For the next 2 weeks, I said nothing. I acted normal. Went to work. Came home. Made dinner. Slept on the couch half the time. She never asked why. I watched her phone habits. No new locks. No hidden apps. But she was always texting someone, smiling at her screen, walking into other rooms. And I just sat there. Waiting. I started planning. I knew Rachel cared about appearances. Her family was old-fashioned, proud, conservative. Her dad was a retired Army colonel. Her mom volunteered at the VA. Her brother was a police officer. They thought Rachel was perfect. She worked in healthcare, had a good marriage, went to church sometimes, never got into trouble. I decided to give them a show. I made a website for a vow renewal ceremony. Something she had mentioned years ago, but we never followed through on. I picked a Saturday 3 weeks out. Rented a small event hall in town. Ordered flowers. Hired a photographer. Reached out to our original wedding officiant. Rachel's eyes lit up when I told her. Oh my God, really? She said. Why now? I shrugged. I just feel like we need a fresh start. She got teary-eyed. Said, that's the sweetest thing you've ever done. She called her parents right away. Told them the news. Told her friends. Co-workers. I helped her send out digital invites. She had no idea I'd also sent one to Michael, using a fake name and email address. I knew he'd show. He couldn't resist. She spent the next 2 weeks planning outfits and playlists. Practicing her makeup. Buying decorations. And I waited. I watched her pretend to be my wife. I watched her hug me and say how excited she was to stand up there with me again. I didn't sleep much. I wasn't nervous, I was angry. Quiet, deep anger. The kind that sits in your stomach like lead. Then the day came. Flowers, guests, music. Rachel in white. Her parents beaming. Everyone in their seats. Michael in the back, sunglasses on. Smirking. The officiant began. I held her hands. I waited for the moment. And when it came, I cleared my throat and said, before we renew our vows, I'd like to say something. Rachel smiled up at me. Probably expecting something romantic. Instead, I turned to the crowd. I want to talk about what love means. Real love. The kind where you don't lie. The kind where you don't cheat. The kind where you don't find your wife wrapped around her mentor in a hotel pool. The room went silent. Her mom gasped. Her dad's face went red. Michael stood up. I pointed right at him. That's him. The man who helped destroy my marriage. The man who thought no one would find out. Rachel froze. She whispered, Greg, stop. I kept going. No. Not this time. I've been quiet. I've been patient. I've been loyal. But I'm not going to stand here and pretend I still want to be married to someone who thinks lying and sneaking around is normal. I pulled off my ring and dropped it on the floor. This ceremony is cancelled. This marriage is over. And I walked out. I didn't stay for the aftermath. But I made sure it followed her. That wasn't the end. I didn't go home right away. I drove to a motel off I-70 and sat in the parking lot for an hour before checking in. I needed time to breathe. To think. I hadn't planned past the speech. But I knew the fallout was coming. Rachel called me 10 times that night. I didn't answer. She texted, "What the hell is wrong with you? You ruined everything. We could have worked through this. You're being dramatic. You're throwing away 11 years over one mistake." That last one? That one almost made me laugh. One mistake? Like it was a speeding ticket. Like getting caught tangled up with another man in a pool while your husband drives 9 hours to surprise you was a slip-up. By morning, the silence on her end was worse than the messages. She stopped trying to call. That's when I knew she was flipping the story. Sure enough, 2 days later, I got a call from her brother, Matt. "You humiliated her," he said. I said, "She humiliated herself." He said, "You could have handled it privately." She handled him privately. I gave her 2 weeks to come clean. She didn't. Click. The next week was chaos. Rachel moved out. Took her clothes, makeup, a few books, and a box of framed pictures. Left behind her wedding dress, the stack of anniversary cards I'd written her over the years, and her engagement ring, placed on the kitchen counter like garbage. Our shared bank account started draining fast. I saw it happen in real time: Amazon, hotel stays, Uber Eats, boutique clothing. She was living like she won the lottery. That's when I froze the account. She sent a one-line text. "Wow. Real mature." I sent back. Didn't realize cheating came with a spending allowance. Then she tried to use guilt. Told mutual friends I was emotionally abusive, controlling, that I blindsided her at the ceremony. A few of them backed off. One even messaged me and said, "You should have handled it like a man." Handled it like a man? I'd swallowed my anger. I'd stayed silent. I gave her 2 weeks to say one honest word. She never did. But here's where things got messy. I found out Rachel didn't just cheat with Michael. He wasn't the first. A coworker of hers, Sandra, reached out to me on Facebook. Said she'd been meaning to tell me for months, but didn't want to get in the middle of it. Said Rachel and Michael had been sneaking around since last summer. But before Michael, there was someone else. A pharmaceutical rep who used to call on their clinic. A guy named Evan. I asked her, "How do you know this?" Sandra said, "Because she told me." She bragged about it. Said she felt trapped in her marriage and needed to explore who she was. My hands shook reading that. I thought of every time Rachel told me she was working late, or had a girls' night, or a conference. All those nights I sat alone eating cold leftovers, thinking I was being a good husband by trusting her. Turns out, I was being an idiot. I printed the messages. Screenshotted everything. Saved it all in a folder. Then I called a divorce lawyer. She was professional. Blunt. Said Ohio was a no-fault state, but if I had proof of misconduct, it could still help. I gave her everything: photos, texts, the speech, the Facebook messages. She said, "You're going to want to be smart about this. She'll fight dirty." And she did. The very next week, Rachel filed first. Claimed I'd emotionally abandoned her. Said I was distant and unaffectionate. I sat there reading it in my lawyer's office, staring at the lies in black and white. "She's trying to paint herself as the victim," my lawyer said. Classic. So we fought. Every text she ever sent. Every message from her coworkers. Every dollar she spent from our joint account. It all went into the case. And just when I thought I'd seen the worst of it, Michael's wife showed up. Her name was Danielle. Petite, sharp-eyed, looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. She found my email somehow and wrote, "I think we should talk." We met at a Panera off Main Street. She came in with a folder of her own. Photos. Texts. Phone logs. Turns out, Michael had been cheating on her with Rachel for nearly 8 months. They had 2 kids. One in middle school, one in elementary. Danielle looked at me and said, "I want to destroy both of them." I nodded. "Me too." We started comparing notes. I gave her Rachel's timeline. She gave me Michael's. It matched. Down to the weekend of the hotel retreat. She said, "You do your divorce. I'll handle mine. But I've already told the board at his hospital." Michael was a cardiac specialist. Turns out, hospital boards don't like when you violate professional conduct with coworkers. He got put on leave within the month. His name disappeared from their website 2 weeks later. Meanwhile, Rachel's job started to feel the heat too. I didn't even have to do much. Just mention to a friend, who happened to be married to one of the board members, that Rachel had been sleeping with a man from a competing healthcare system while attending company retreats on their dime. Rumors spread fast. I heard from Sandra again. She said HR was investigating the optics of Rachel's behavior. Rachel texted me, "You're ruining my life." I replied, "You already ruined mine. I'm just cleaning up the mess." Then I blocked her again. The divorce wasn't final yet. There was still more to come. More secrets, more fake tears, more damage control from her side. But I was ready. They thought I'd stay silent. They thought I'd just leave and let them rewrite the story. They were wrong. I thought things had finally settled down. Rachel was out of the house, Michael was out of a job, and the divorce was crawling through the legal mess, but moving. I was rebuilding slowly. I kept my head down, worked long hours, and stayed away from drama. But life wasn't done dragging me through it. It started with a letter. A real, paper letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name on the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a message printed in bold black letters. "Check her emails. She's hiding more than you think." No signature. No explanation. At first, I thought it was a prank. But the way it was typed, no handwriting, no envelope seal, no markings, it felt serious. And creepy. I stared at it for 10 minutes before I remembered something. Before Rachel left, she used to sync her work emails to the old iPad we kept in the kitchen. She claimed it was just easier to read work stuff at night on a bigger screen. After she moved out, she didn't ask for it. I figured she forgot. I dug it out of the drawer. Battery was dead, so I charged it overnight. Next morning, I opened it, and sure enough, there it was. Her old work email account. Still logged in? I knew snooping was wrong. I'm not proud of it. But after everything, I couldn't ignore that message. What I found hit harder than the pool scene. Harder than the texts. She wasn't just cheating with Michael. And it wasn't just physical. Rachel had been planning to leave me for months. There were emails between her and a woman named Tammy, some kind of life coach or therapist. They weren't formal sessions, more like long, personal conversations. In one, Rachel wrote, "Greg has no idea. I'm going to wait until after the next retreat and then tell him. I need to be free. I've already started moving money. I'll have enough by midsummer." In another, "Michael says he'd leave Danielle if it wasn't for the kids. I don't care anymore. I just want out. I feel nothing when I look at Greg." That one broke something inside me. She felt nothing? Then I saw the real twist. She had already taken out a loan. A personal loan. Using my name as cosigner. Forged my signature. $20,000. It had been deposited into a separate bank account, one I didn't know about. I was shaking. My lawyer had warned me to watch for financial red flags, but I never expected this. I called her. First time in weeks. She didn't answer. I left a voicemail. "You stole from me. We're done talking. See you in court." She texted a few hours later. "You're being dramatic again. That money was for us. You would have agreed if you weren't always so stuck in your routines." I took everything to my lawyer. She filed a motion the same day. Fraud. Forgery. Financial misconduct. Rachel's lawyer tried to delay the hearings, but the judge wasn't buying it. They scheduled a forensic accountant to go through everything. Meanwhile, Danielle, Michael's wife, reached out again. She told me Michael was trying to paint Rachel as some unstable temptress who had seduced him and ruined his marriage. Typical coward move, she said. He's trying to save face with the kids, blaming her for everything. But he wasn't crying when he was sneaking off to hotels and lying about conferences. Then she dropped the second bomb. She had audio. One night, a month before the retreat, Danielle had recorded a call between Michael and Rachel without him knowing. She played part of it for me. I'll never forget it. Rachel. He'll never leave me. Greg doesn't have the balls. He's too proud to admit he's boring. Michael. Don't underestimate people like him. Guys like that bottle things up. Then one day, they explode. Rachel. I'd like to see him try. She laughed. They both laughed. That was the night I stopped doubting myself. The night I realized I wasn't just betrayed, I'd been mocked. Lied to. Used. Danielle gave me the file. I handed it over to my lawyer. She said it might not help in court legally, but it sure as hell showed the kind of person Rachel was. It could influence mediation, especially with finances and property. Then, out of nowhere, Rachel tried to come crawling back. She showed up at my house one afternoon, 2 months after the vow renewal disaster. I'd just gotten home from work, tired, sweating, covered in dust. She stood on my porch like she owned the place. I just want to talk, she said. I didn't open the door. Just stared at her through the screen. You have 5 minutes, I said. She looked thinner. Tired. Fake smile on her lips. I made mistakes, she began. But we had something. We can't just throw away a whole life because of one bad year. Bad year? I laughed. You were planning to rob me and run. Her smile dropped. I was scared, she said. I didn't know how to ask for what I needed. Didn't stop you from taking what you wanted. She shifted her tone. Softer. You're not perfect either, Greg. You shut down. You don't talk. You never asked if I was happy. I assumed you were, I said. You didn't seem to have a problem smiling in that pool. Silence. I want to fix this, she whispered. I looked her dead in the eyes. It's already fixed. You're not in my life anymore. I closed the door. She stood there for a minute, then walked away. But something told me she wasn't done. She never liked losing. Especially not to me. And I had a feeling she was about to try one last move. A week after she showed up at my door, I got served. Rachel had filed a countermotion. She was now suing me for emotional damages. She claimed my public vow renewal speech had caused her undue emotional trauma, made her lose her job, and destroyed her professional reputation. She also requested alimony. Alimony? After cheating. After stealing. After forging my name. Now she wanted me to pay her to recover? My lawyer laughed when she read it. Then she got serious and said, "We're going all the way now." I agreed. I was done playing nice. The court date came fast. It was a rainy Thursday morning in Montgomery County Court. My suit was cheap, but clean. Rachel showed up in a beige dress, fake tears ready. Her lawyer tried to paint me as unstable, vengeful, controlling. We countered with evidence. Bank records, signed affidavits from her coworkers, the iPad email logs, the audio recording Danielle gave me when the judge heard the tape of Rachel laughing about how boring I was, how I'd never leave. Something shifted. You could feel it in the room. The judge leaned forward. Her lawyer went pale. Rachel didn't say a word. She just stared at the table, her face tight, jaw clenched. The judge looked right at her and said, "You expect financial support from the man you deceived, defrauded, and humiliated?" Rachel didn't answer. Ruling came fast. No alimony. No emotional damages. The judge also awarded me 70% of the marital assets due to her intentional misconduct and financial fraud. She'd have to repay the loan in full, plus legal fees. My lawyer squeezed my arm under the table. I didn't smile. I didn't nod. I just breathed. But that wasn't the end of it. Michael. After getting fired from his hospital job, he bounced around smaller clinics. Word spread. A few stories leaked. Nothing official, but in healthcare, rumors are like poison. Patients started requesting anyone but him. His license wasn't suspended, but the board launched an ethics review. Danielle filed for divorce. Took the kids, the house, and nearly half his pension. She also filed a formal complaint against both him and Rachel with the American College of Healthcare Executives. Turns out Rachel had lied about being reassigned after the retreat. She was quietly let go. Then the dominoes fell. She applied for new jobs. Got a few interviews. But the background checks caught up. One HR department reached out to her old supervisor for a reference. I knew the woman, Melissa. Quiet. Smart. And furious about how Rachel had embarrassed the team. Rachel didn't get the job. Or the one after that. Or the one after that. She started freelancing. Nothing stable. She moved into a one-bedroom apartment above a liquor store in a sketchy part of town. I know because a mutual friend told me. Said she'd seen Rachel buying boxed wine and frozen dinners with a prepaid card. Her car got repossessed 6 months later. But here's the twist. I didn't come out untouched. After everything, I realized how much of myself I lost in that marriage. I had stopped talking to my friends. Missed years of barbecues, birthdays, Sunday games. I kept thinking love meant sacrifice, but I sacrificed too much. I gave her my trust, my time, my money, and she left me empty. I started going to therapy. Weekly. Quiet, serious sessions. Learned how to set boundaries. How to say no. How to stop being the guy who always tries to fix what's broken, even when it cuts him. Danielle and I kept in touch. Not romantically. But sometimes we'd meet for coffee and talk. She was healing too. We'd laugh about how blind we were. How good they were at lying. How sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who burn you the worst. A year later, I was standing in line at the DMV and I saw her, Rachel. She looked tired. Hair pulled back in a loose bun. Wearing a wrinkled blouse and holding a busted phone with a cracked screen. She saw me. I saw her. We didn't speak. She turned away. That was the last time I saw her. I don't know where she is now. Don't care. I sold the house, moved to a smaller place near Huber Heights. Bought a new truck. Started going fishing again with my buddies. Even started dating, not serious, not rushing. Just real. But the best part. Last month, I hosted a party. Small one. Just some friends, burgers on the grill, cold beers. Someone raised a glass and said, "To Greg. Hell of a comeback." And I realized, I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. Rachel thought she broke me. What she really did was give me back to myself.